Good morning, and welcome to today's New York City Council hearing on the Committee of Transportation and Infrastructure. At this time during today's hearing, no one may approach the dais. If you would like to testify, please see one of the Sergeant at Arms to fill out a testimony slip. Please silence all electronic devices you may have. Chair, you may begin.
Good morning and welcome to today's hearing of the New York City Council's Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. I am Councilmember Sylvina Brooks Powers, Chair to the committee. I want to thank everyone who has joined us today as we examine one of the most essential components of our transportation network, the city's bus system. Buses are the second largest mode of transportation by ridership in the city, serving over 1 million passengers daily. For many New Yorkers, particularly those who live in outer borough areas that lack subway access, buses serve as a primary mode of transit. They connect New Yorkers to jobs, schools, healthcare, childcare, houses of worship, family, and opportunity. However, despite its critical importance, the city's bus system has and continues to experience many challenges, from low ridership and the ongoing fiscal recovery from the pandemic to slow bus speeds, unreliable service, and other performance issues. Today's oversight hearing, New York City's bus system, network operations, equity, and redesign, comes at a pivotal moment. The MTA, in partnership with DOT, is continuing the process of redesigning the city's bus networks, which has the potential to change our bus system in ways we have not seen in generations. This bus network redesign process is well underway, with Staten Island's Express Link launched in 2018 and the Bronx Local Network launched in 2022. The Queens redesign, which was implemented in two phases this July and August, is the most recently finalized plan. Brooklyn's redesign is next in line, followed by Manhattan's network, the Bronx's Express network, and Staten Island's local network. These redesigns offer an opportunity for streamlined routes and faster trips and a modernized bus system, as well as a modernized bus system as a whole. However, there are also potential negative consequences, such as relocated bus stops and increased transfers to riders, that must also be considered and addressed. The committee hopes to hear about how the MTA and DOT are navigating these issues and looks forward to hearing more about the status of each of the redesign projects. In addition to the ongoing redesigns, the committee is also interested in discussing other current efforts by the MTA and DOT to improve bus service and increase ridership, including through the select bus service and bus priority projects. We also would like to hear about DOT's ongoing implementation of the Streets Plan, which includes several mandates to improve the city's bus system. Congestion pricing, which was finally implemented earlier this year, is also very relevant to the future of the city's bus system. While congestion pricing already seems to be having positive impacts on bus ridership and performance in Manhattan, its effects are less clear in outer borough neighborhoods and transit deserts. We would like to hear more from the MTA and DOT regarding congestion pricing and how it is measuring its impact on bus service outside Manhattan. We will also explore the affordability challenges facing bus riders in New York. Bus fares will rise again in January, and transportation costs remain the second highest household expense in the metro region. This reality underscores why fare equity programs, including the expansion of the Fair Fares program, are more important than ever. With these broader themes in mind, today's hearing will consider a package of legislation that addresses enforcement, fairness, transparency, public health, equitable mobility, and the everyday challenges riders face across the five boroughs. These include Intro 339 by Councilmember Nycc in relation to prohibiting the issuance of multiple bus lane violation tickets for the same infraction within a 1 hour period. Intro 647, Councilmember Riley, in relation to bus lane restrictions. Intro 1345 by myself, in relation to providing notice to home and business owners regarding the creation or removal of bus stops. Reso 58, also sponsored by myself, calling on the MTA to adjust schedules for distant subway terminal lines to include more peak direction rush hour trains for commuters to travel to central economic hubs. Reso 61, sponsored by myself, calling upon the MTA to remediate any transportation structure, primarily elevated train lines, with extremely high levels of lead. Resolution 252, sponsored by Councilmember Riley, calling on the New York State Legislature to pass and the New York State Governor to sign legislation which would create unlimited transfer within the 2-hour period of paying the MTA subway or bus fare for pay per ride users. Reso 498, sponsored by Majority Leader Farias, calling on the MTA to create a program that provides New York City's first responder agencies with real-time global positioning system data for all MTA buses. Reso 735, sponsored by myself, calling on the MTA to conduct longitudinal studies on the environmental, economic, and social impacts of congestion pricing throughout New York City. Reso 773, sponsored by Majority Leader Farias, calling on the New York State Legislature to pass and the Governor to sign legislation that would require the MTA to provide free express bus fare to New York City students who take express buses to and from school. Reso 964, sponsored by myself, calling on the New York State Legislature to pass and the New York State Governor to sign Senate Bill 3887A, Assembly Bill 7316A, requiring that any individual who is eligible for the Fair Fares program in New York City and any person whose income is 200% of the federal poverty line receive a 50% discount on trips using the Long Island Railroad, paratransit services, New York City Transit subways or buses, and the Metro North Railroad. I look forward to hearing from the MTA, DOT, and the advocates. Before we begin, I would like to thank my staff, Julian Martin, my legislative director and deputy chief of staff, Renee Taylor, my chief of staff, and the committee staff, Mark Chen, Senior Legislative Counsel, Theodore Miller, Legislative Counsel, Kevin Katowski, Senior Policy Analyst, John Basile, Senior Policy Analyst, Nell Compton, Legislative Intern, and Adrian Japal, Principal Financial Analyst, for their hard work. I will now allow Councilmember Nycc to speak on her bill.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. Good morning, colleagues. I introduced this bill because enforcement should definitely be firm, but it must also be fair. Right now, too many New Yorkers are opening their mailboxes to find multiple tickets all from a single stretch of roadway, simply because multiple cameras captured the same continuous bus lane violation. That is not how we build trust in our enforcement system. Intro 339 does not weaken bus lanes or compromise transit priority. It simply ensures that penalties match the offense by limiting automated cameras to 1 ticket per hour for the same infraction. Drivers who break the rules will still be held accountable, but they won't be financially crushed by stacked fines. I believe this is fair and common sense protection for our drivers, many of whom are struggling to make ends meet. I respectfully ask my colleagues to support this bill so we can keep enforcement strong while keeping it fair, for especially for those that is struggling in the climate right now that we're living with. And I want to say, MTA, thank you for going my way in many ways, for making sure that our community have the MTA bus come to our community and provide their Omni bus fare things, half fare, and it's an amazing program, by the way. It's always very crowded, so thank you for your leadership and thank you for supporting our community. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'd like to acknowledge that we have been joined by Council Members Lewis, Majority Leader Farias, Councilmember Nycc, Councilmember Areola, and Councilmember Riley. Next, I will allow Councilmember Riley to speak on his bills.
Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers, for leading this important hearing, and thank you to my colleagues, our agencies, and everyone here today committed to make our transit system work better for the people we serve. In the Bronx and especially in my district, the bus isn't just transportation, it's a lifeline. Folks rely on it every day to get to work, to school, to doctor's appointments, to pick up their children, to buy groceries. When buses are late, overcrowded, or confusing to navigate, it's not just an inconvenience, it disrupts someone's entire day. Too often, communities like the Northeast Bronx, communities of color, feel those challenges the hardest. We deal with longer commutes, fewer subway options, and higher costs just to get where we need to go. And that's why today's hearing is so vital to strengthen our transportation network for all New Yorkers, both commuters and drivers alike. Along with my colleagues, I've introduced two bills being heard today. Intro 647 requires DOT to post clear signage and publish online the specific days and hours when bus lane restrictions are in effect. This ensures consistency, reduces confusion, and keeps both riders and drivers informed, supporting smoother enforcement and faster, more reliable services. Resolution 252 calls on the state to allow unlimited transfers within 2 hours of paying an MTA fare, building on legislation sponsored by Senator Leroy Comrie and Assemblymember Jeffrey Dinteris. For working families, especially in districts like mine where commutes often span multiple bus lines, this is about fairness and affordability. No one should have to pay more simply because they are where they live or how far they have to travel to reach opportunity or even their basic needs. Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers, and my colleagues who join me on this efforts. These are small but meaningful changes that can make daily life a little easier for the people we serve. I look forward to hearing from the agencies and the public today as we continue working to build a transit system that truly reflects the realities of New Yorkers who ride it every day. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next, we will hear from Majority Leader Farias to speak on her resolutions.
Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers, for giving me time to speak on these resolutions before the committee. The first on the agenda is Resol 498, which calls on the MTA to establish a program that provides New York City's first responder agencies with real-time GPS data for all MTA buses. This resolution addresses a critical operation gap between the MTA and our emergency response agencies. Although every MTA bus is already equipped with GPS tracking, that data is not shared directly with the NYPD, FDNY, or EMS in real time. As a result, when an emergency occurs on a moving bus, first responders must rely on information relayed through the MTA Bus Command Center. That process adds unnecessary delay in situations where minutes, and sometimes just seconds, can determine whether help arrives in time. The urgency of this issue became much more clear following an incident I learned about in my district. One of my constituents from Parkchester was harassed on an MTA bus and did what anyone should in a situation like this. They called 911. Because it was raining and visibility was poor, he was unable to identify his location and instead gave the dispatcher the bus number. But despite that effort, the bus could not be located by dispatched officers. To my surprise, this was because the MTA does not currently make its real-time GPS data accessible to first responders. Under the MTA's existing protocol, even when a bus operator reports an emergency, that information must first pass through the MTA command center before reaching NYPD or FDNY. Every additional step adds time and risk for both riders and transit employees. Resolution 498 calls for the MTA to close that gap. It calls to develop a secure real-time data sharing system with the city's emergency agencies using the GPS infrastructure that already exists. Other major transit systems, including those in Chicago and DC, already employ similar coordination, and the results are proven: faster response times, stronger interagency communication, and greater public confidence. When someone experiences an emergency on an MTA bus, our first responders should never be searching for information that already exists. Real-time access is a necessity for a system that moves millions of New Yorkers every day. The next piece of legislation of mine on the agenda is Resolution 773. The motivation behind this resolution comes from a simple truth that too many families know firsthand: getting to school shouldn't cost a fortune. Right now, the city's Office of Pupil Transportation gives students Metro cards for subways and local buses, but not for MTA Express buses. And that gap makes a huge difference for people, especially in neighborhoods with limited subway access. An express bus costs $7 a ride. That's $14 a day, nearly $70 a week, and close to $2,700 a year for a student who takes one to and from school. Families in the Bronx, Staten Island, and parts of Queens are areas where the express bus is often the only reliable option our families have. and are paying that price every year just so their kids can get to class. Back in 2019, the MTA did the right thing when it upgraded all student Metro cards from half fare to full fare. But that fix didn't reach everyone. Students who depend on express buses were left behind, and the cost gap has only grown. By 2022, more than 2,000 parents and advocates had signed an online petition calling on the MTA to address the issue. That's what this resolution does. It calls on the MTA and the state legislature and the governor to provide free express bus fares for New York City students who rely on those routes to travel to and from school. The infrastructure already exists through Omni and the Student MetroCard system. What's missing is the policy alignment and the will to make it equitable. This idea actually started in our office, building on work we'd done around student discounts for ferries and Omni access. Providing free buses on the express bus for students is a responsible, practical fix. It reduces cost burdens for families who are already struggling and ensures that no student's education depends on whether or not they can pay for a bus that gets them to and from school. This is what equity in transit should look like, using the tools we already have to make the system work better for everyone. With that, I asked the council to support the passage of both these resolutions as a matter of safety, efficiency, and equity. I want to thank my colleagues who co-sponsored this resol with me, and thanks to the chair and the members of the committee for the continued leadership, partnership, in building a transit system that truly reflects the needs of New Yorkers. And last but not least, I just want to thank my constituent, Peter Raymond Hamilton, for bringing these concerns that brought Reso 498 to light. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will now ask committee counsel to swear in the first panel.
Thank you. Our first panel will be from the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Demetrius Critchlow, President of New York City Transit, John McCarthy, Chief of Policy and External Relations, and Shanifa Riera, Chief Customer Officer. I will now administer the oath. Please raise your right hands. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee, and to respond honestly to council member questions? Thank you. You may begin when ready.
Good morning, and thanks for having us, Chair and members. I'm John McCarthy, Chief of Policy and External Relations at the MTA. Just want to introduce the fellow panelists who you know, New York City Transit President Demetrius Critchlow and Chief Customer Officer Shanifa Riera. It's not lost on us that we're here a week after the most transit-focused election in years. Buses especially were top of the agenda for Mayor-elect Mamdani, and that makes sense. They are an underrated part of our transit system. They serve 1.4 million paid customers per weekday. That's up 12% from last year. And while customer satisfaction is currently the highest it's been since spring 2023, we agree with everyone that we always look for ways to improve that service. Indeed, it's been one of our top strategic priorities for the last several years, and we're making a ton of progress. Frequencies have been increasing on routes across the city, and that's not just on buses. This is important. It's also on subways and commuter railroads especially. Metro North and Long Island Railroad are making so many more stops within the city and serving a lot more customers, especially with City Ticket. We're doing an announcement just today out in St. Albans on this increase, which is it's a really amazing feat. A big reason we're able to add all this service while other transit systems across the country are making tough cuts, and that's real. They are real serious cuts we made. It's because of our partners in Albany. Big thank you to Governor Hochul and to our partners in the state legislature, including Mayor-elect Mamdani, who, as an assembly member, and we worked with him, pushed for action to assist transit with the post-COVID fiscal cliff. With our finances stabilized, we're able to focus more on the future. There's plenty of new rolling stock on the way as part of the MTA's $68.4 billion 25 to 29 capital plan, not to mention other important upgrades that are key to our ability to run strong service. We're happy to talk about those things. So there's a lot to look forward to. I'm now going to hand it over to President Critchlow.
Thanks, John. As president of New York City Transit, providing safe and reliable service for New Yorkers will always be a top priority for me. Buses are how we keep neighborhoods connected and serve as a vital lifeline for some of the most vulnerable New Yorkers. So over the past year, we've made big investments in bettering our bus network, which has translated into great strides in improving service for riders. The Queens Bus Network redesign went live this summer after 6 years of back and forth with the community. We held over 300 events, which many of you attended. We incorporated more than 18,000 comments, both in person and online, all in the interest of creating a better, faster bus network. And that was for 800,000 riders. Our almost $35 million investment, which I'll point out is annual, is already paying off. We'll be releasing a 6-month update in the new year, but I can tell you now that the preliminary data is promising. Like on the new rush routes that we introduced, when redesigning the network, we took a look at where riders were located, far from transfer points and business centers. We then made strategic changes, creating rush routes to get them to these connections and destinations faster. That effort has paid off. We're seeing buses moving 7% faster on average, with some rush routes experiencing even greater increases, like the Q111, which is moving 15% faster. Where we need your help is with traffic management on the streets. New buses are great, but it is no good for anyone if they're constantly stuck in gridlock. Luckily, we know what we need to do, and that is to build more bus lanes and busways. Look, we all know that there have been shortcomings on this front. The city's built out just a fraction of the miles required by law. We're hopeful that the incoming mayor will turn that around because we know bus lanes and busways work. Just look at the busway on J Street in Brooklyn, where we've seen speed increases by 20%. On 14th Street in Manhattan with a 30% speed increase, or even on Archer Avenue in Queens, which is a 48% increase in speeds. Busways make a real difference all over the city. Now, we're also committed to expanding MTA's automated camera enforcement system, as well as the use of transit signal priority, so our buses can communicate with traffic signals to keep them moving. We all know that double parking is a huge issue for the city. But with ACE, when private cars block our way, we can snap a photo and quickly send out fines, which we know are a powerful deterrent. When we implement ACE, drivers quickly learn that the fines add up. Once in effect for some time, only 9% of drivers receive a second fine. Now, I know we're here today to talk about buses, but as the head of the city's entire transit system, I'd be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to mention our subways and paratransit services. To build a robust comeback after the pandemic, we know we needed to deliver fast, reliable, and safe service. I'm proud to say we've done just that. Crime is at a historic low, down 4.6% since this time last year. And it's thanks to law enforcement partners and the investments made by Governor Hochul, like cameras in every subway car and barriers on platforms in over 100 stations. Subway on-time performance is at a record high, with September achieving 85% on-time performance, which represents the best September in modern history. We've even added service on 16 subway lines, and most recently increased service earlier this month on the A and the L lines, which will improve service for 100,000 weekday riders. Paratransit also continues to deliver for riders. Last month, Paratransit hit an all-time ridership record by completing 1 million trips in October. 1 million trips in October. That's larger than some transportation networks at large, all while maintaining impressive on-time performance. While I am proud of these achievements, I know there is still work to do. We appreciate our partnership with City Council and look forward to working together in the years to come to deliver even more to New Yorkers. With that, I'll turn it over to MTA Chief Customer Officer, Shanifa Riera.
Thank you, President Critchlow. Before we get to your questions, I want to just take a moment to talk about the work my team has been doing around customer communications. As John mentioned earlier, we are seeing a continual rise in customer satisfaction across all agencies. For buses, we've seen an 11-point jump between fall of 2024 and spring of 2025. And we're working hard to drive those numbers up even higher, particularly as we transition away from Metro cards. For Fair Fare, it's another priority. We've been on record of supporting the expansion of the eligibility requirements to up to 200% of the AMI poverty level, so more New Yorkers can benefit. It does not make any sense that a person working minimum wage makes too much to qualify. And I will say that again for the people in the back. It makes no sense that New Yorkers working minimum wage makes too much to qualify. Our team is ready to help you meet that demand. We are on track to open another 15 customer service center by the end of this year, bringing the system-wide total to 30%. Eligible New Yorkers can sign up for Fair Fares 24 hours a day, 7 days a week within our system. Station agents can help folks apply also for the reduced fare program and answer any questions they may have about switching over to Tap and Ride. It is important that our riders have the resources in their communities, in their neighborhoods. No one needs to come all the way down to 3 Stone Street anymore. We meet riders where they are. I know we all share the same goals of making the transit system run better for all New Yorkers. So thank you again for having us here today, and we're happy to take your questions.
Thank you for that, and just jump right into it. Gonna start with the bus redesigns, of course. How is the MTA measuring success with respect to the Queens network redesign? What metrics are you monitoring, and what do you hope to see going forward?
Sure. So any bus redesign that we do across the city is founded on the people who are going to be using it, right? So it is, what do those folks need? How do we simplify the routes to get them to where they need to go? How do we improve reliability when we implement it? How do we reduce travel times, taking into consideration those folks who are at distant parts and are looking to travel to the central business district, implementing rush routes as we did with Queens, and then essentially improving connectivity. As an example of Queens, we saw that it was still based upon old trolley lines. So how could we provide better and improved connectivity to the subway, to the railroad, across the board? We looked at all of those avenues when we're creating a network. But we're also looking at the demographics of the people. When you do a Title VI survey, you look at not the income, low income areas, as well as the minority populations. But we went beyond that. We looked at what we consider to be the concentrated networks, which looks at not just the folks who have low income. It looks at race. It looks at age. It looks at those who are dependent on transportation, don't have vehicles to drive inside their family. It takes a look at those who are relying on, who have a disability and are relying on bus transportation that may need to have a lift or use Accessoride. So we are looking at overall, how do we improve service for our customers?
Thank you for that. I will say my understanding is that some riders were surprised and frustrated to learn of the service changes when the redesign was fully launched. And I wanted to understand, have like riders express concerns like these regarding the service changes caused by the redesign?
So happy to discuss. I mean, we started out with talking about how many community engagements we've done. The community and the representatives who support those communities were a big part of our decisions, right? So 300 engagements, 6 years worth of comments, tens of thousands of comments that we fielded. So I don't think surprise should be part of anyone's vocabulary when we talk about the Queens Bus Network redesign. There should be no surprise. We were very clear on intent. We showed everything, and we also communicated. We are probably the most visible organization in terms of communicating. And so we made sure that this bus network redesign, all of the information was available and visible to customers.
Yeah,
Well,
okay, can I just, I'm sorry, Chair, just one thing. One of the things that we're really hearing about is the ability to get to our railroad stations. We have something like more than 20 railroad stations in the city proper that before this crew at the MTA, and for years, and thanks to everybody here's help, like you guys really pushed on City Ticket and more stations being stopped at by Metro North and Long Island Railroad. What we're hearing from our customers, they're taking the bus, and now those new routes are going directly to those railroad stations. They're making use of it. We see City Ticket, it's up 11+%, ridership's up, and we're meeting them where they are by having more service on those stations. So that's a really, where we're really seeing satisfaction.
thank you for that. And will the MTA make any changes to the redesigned network in Queens in light of feedback? Because I know we've shared some feedback from members of the community in terms of sightings, for example, of bus stops or um, some that may impact like a vulnerable population, like the seniors or anything like that. So as we learn more, as folks are using this redesign, will the MTA be nimble in the sense that there are opportunities that there could be some shifts and changes as necessary?
So I think because everyone thinks of the redesign. The redesign is the redesign. It was changing how we see, how we envision, how we supply service to customers. As part of our normal process, 4 times a year we evaluate service that we provide to different neighborhoods and make different changes based upon what we see needs to be changed. So that's just part of our normal process. There are absolutely, without question, opportunities for changing what we see in our service. But that is not part of the redesign that took place. It is part of our normal process of looking at scheduled service.
Thank you for that. Just, and I know some of this answer, but I just want to ask it on the record in terms of equity and accessibility. What outreach has been done to riders in transit deserts and outer borough areas, and how are you ensuring their voices are incorporated in to what we said, like making sure that if there are any necessary changes that can happen as well?
As President Critchlow mentioned, I mean, ahead of the implementation of phase 1 and phase 2, those countless 300 community engagement. And as we went to the implementation, I mean, again, we did not stop and give the impression that people understood the change that was coming. So, I mean, there has been a robust approach and sort of all hands on deck, taking lots of MTA employees and deploying them into the field and educating our customers and informing our customers and engaging our riders of the change that was to be coming and would to be implemented. Coupled with lots of customer comms. I mean, everyone has seen the yellow and black creative assets that are running, within the bus network, outside of the bus network, on social media. If you rode the bus, whether you're in Queens or in another borough, hearing the audio announcement. So, I mean, we have left no stone unturned, with the customer engagement, and of course, with our GCR team going out to whether it's the community board, nonprofit organizations, senior centers, and lots of other groups, as well as, faith-based organizations, letting them know of the changes and getting feedback.
Thank you for that. In terms of fare evasion enforcement, how is fare evasion handled on the city buses?
So, one of the things that
And who handles it? Also?
Sure. One of the things that we started tackling when I first took over as president was looking at fare evasion both on subways and buses. At the time, fare evasion was around the 50% mark. And so we implemented a couple changes to how we do what we do with our Eagle teams to tackle fare evasion. Some were by uniformed officers, some with undercover officers, and that effort is done in concert with NYPD. We are at several locations. However, there are 15,000 bus stops throughout the city. And it is a lot easier on the subway side to implement infrastructure changes that can impact that can impact fare evasion. But that said, even with the changes that we've made, we're seeing already a 12% reduction from that 50% to 46% in fare evasion based upon the efforts that we've targeted in specific locations, specific areas where fare evasion has been a problem. So, look, this is a larger issue. It is a cultural issue. There are individuals who aren't able to pay for a fare, which again, we point towards fair fares, but there are individuals who are choosing and electing not to pay the fare. They will spend the money on other areas and then will just walk past the bus operator. And so that is not something that we are supportive of. I will say that I'm looking forward to the tap and ride when we will start doing a form of how we would change the form in which we are checking for fares, and I think we're going to have even more progress made at that point.
Thank you for that. Road dispatchers and bus command center functioning. I've heard that road dispatchers are being reassigned to the bus command center from their field posts. And I like to understand the reasoning behind the reassignment of these road dispatchers. Like, what specific analysis or operational review led to the decision to reassign road dispatchers from field posts to the BCC?
Sure. So I'll start by saying I have staked my career in making changes that improve service and safety for our customers and for our employees. That's what my whole career has been staked on. I've worked at 3 command centers, more than probably anyone else in transit. 3 command centers. New York City Transit, in order to make change, which the organization does not like. The organization does not like change. It's hard to make change. But in order for you to improve service, you have to make the hard decisions and you have to make the tough calls when it comes to moving service. The reality is having a structure that handles incident response at one location and handles service management spread out amongst the city does not make sense. That's the reality. When we centralized control of both incident management and service management in the rail control centers, as they are doing around the country, you get a better handle of not only what's going on in dispatching people for managing the incidents, but you're also reviewing service overall, not just for that particular route, but for that whole region, that whole corridor of services that you're doing. So we centralize service in the control center. We're still in the process of centralizing service inside the B division, which is your lettered lines. But it is the way of the future. The bus system is no different. Having bus dispatchers spread out amongst the city, responsible for standing on a specific corner, not managing service for the region, does not make sense. What you need to have is have the person sitting right next to the person who's managing the incident. If my bus goes down, I want to be able to have someone who's able to handle coordination for buses, who's able to reroute service, who's able to look at how do I need to supplement service for other routes that are in the same area or in different areas. You need to have a comprehensive overview of what service is. When you look at service, you do not look at service for one location, one stop, or one route. You look at service end to end, and you look at routes. You look at regions. That's what centralized service gives you. And so listen, again, I stake my reputation on making the hard decisions that change how we operate service. And for bus service, there is no question, there is nothing that can be done better than centralizing service and management of that service to the control center.
Did the MTA consider hiring new staff for BCC consoles rather than eliminating the dispatcher role? And I ask that because I hear what you said, and I think that in an instance that has validity from your perspective, but from mine, and I'm a layperson, but in the field, being able to be on the ground and actually seeing what's happening and having that line of communication from the field, I feel would be invaluable type of information. So I wanted to know if the MTA had explored maybe hiring people to do just what you said to do while still keeping the dispatchers in the field.
So there will still be dispatchers in the field. This is not to eliminate all of the dispatchers in the field. Again, you have to think of not only,
Well, I'm hearing like 26 roles are impacted, and I think a lot of them are coming from Queens.
I can't speak to the specific number, but like I said, you have individuals that respond specifically to the incident. That's not going to change. Those individual supervisors who be respond to the incident, but managing the service, making the calls on what buses are going to be rerouted, making that call from a street corner does not benefit our riders.
So have you looked at hiring people to do that function at the BCC?
Our current process is to look at what resources we have and evaluate how we can make best use of it. I can't rule that out in the future. Right now, we're taking a look at our existing resources.
Were the road dispatcher, bus operators, unions, or borough operation managers consulted before this shift?
All of the unions were notified about the change prior to making it.
Notified, or were they given the opportunity to be consulted and give their feedback?
I think we're saying the same thing, notifying them, giving them an opportunity,
telling.
giving an opportunity for them to provide comment. But the reality is this is a decision that needs to be made for New Yorkers.
So were they able to give feedback?
They were able to provide feedback, yes.
Okay, and with that feedback, what was the MTA's posture with the feedback?
So just to be transparent, the position is that we should not make any change. That has been the position of the unions. Don't move people off their street corner, right? My job is to provide the best service that we can for New Yorkers. That's my job. That's my sole function. Provide the best service we can while utilizing the resources that we have to do so. And that's what I'm doing.
And MTA is very good at using, I would say, data to try and determine the direction to go. So has the MTA collected any data that demonstrates that removing road dispatchers will improve service quality rather than degrade it? And I'm talking about data specific to the buses and not the trains, because I look at them very differently, with the train system being a bit more contained in a sense as opposed to the buses that are out on the roadway. So is there any data that the MTA had looked at when making this decision?
So right now, yes, we looked at data. There's no question. But as I talked about, the focus has been on how do you improve upon what exists. We have data that talks about how do we run our service. We have data that suggests exactly how many reroutes a bus dispatcher is making from their current location. We have data that shows that buses are operating 20 to 30 minutes late. We have buses that demonstrate that buses are bunched up at locations, again, that we have dispatchers who are currently sitting. We have all of that data. The reality is what I'm moving toward is eliminating those things. How do I improve service? And it's making changes with the resources that I have, putting them in a place where they not only see what's happening on their corner, but are making decisions that affect everyone along the entire corridor that looks beyond just their route.
How many console positions at the BCC are unfilled today?
I don't have that number, I'm sorry.
Can
I'm
someone
happy to
find
get
the
it
number
for you.
while we're here?
Sure.
Thank you. How does the MTA quantify the current contribution of road dispatchers to schedule adherence and real-time incident management?
I didn't hear you, so I'm sorry.
How does the MTA quantify the current contribution of road dispatchers to schedule adherence and real-time incident management?
So, look, a dispatcher is an invaluable resource, right? Having been a dispatcher myself, I recognize the importance of being able to have an individual who is able to dispatch and handle service. However, being a dispatcher myself, working from a field location, from a tower location, and then moving to a control center, I also understand the value of being able to centralize your control of operations. So they are an integral part in providing the service that we run, but they're going to have an even more integral part in be able to handle the service that we provide from a centralized location.
Okay. In terms of the BCC radio system, is it accurate that the system experiences a 47% failure rate for calls and transmissions?
I don't know that to be accurate.
What are the root causes from your perspective of these system failures?
I don't know that to be accurate.
No, I said, what are the root causes? What are some of the root causes?
Right, but that assumes that there are failures at 47%, right? I don't have any knowledge.
No, I'm just
of
saying
that
broadly
being.
speaking.
So
not
I can
talking
jump.
about
I can jump in on a little bit of that, Chair. So failures in dispatch, and I'm just going to take a step back. For Demetrius is dealing with transit, but this is across the MTA. How do we deal with our communications? And broadly speaking, what we've done is move people so they are near each other. We're taking advantage of modern technology, which is that our buses, our subways, our railroads, our police are able to communicate with each other via modern technology. And by putting people together in a room, decisions are made more quickly and we're nimble. So Shanifa has a team, right? Customer people who are the public information officers. They used to be spread out. We have them in the RCC. You know who else is right next to them? The NYPD, the FDNY, train dispatchers. We're able to communicate in real time and get the job done. It's working really, really well. It's what the fire department does. It's what the NYPD does. It makes sense. It's taking advantage of modern technology to make sure we're communicating and we're not talking over each other or beyond each other. We're in the same place. And it's working really well. So I'm not aware of failures of a communication system.
So are you saying the radio system never fails?
I'm not saying anything never fails. I'm certainly
But does the
an
MTA
example of
measure how
failure
much
at
it
times,
fails?
right? Sorry?
Does the MTA measure how much it
Of course,
fails?
we
what's that-
track
what's that
these things.
measurement?
I don't know the specific number of any one
So can we
radio, but what
find
I
out?
do know is the success rate from customers are that they appreciate and get information about their buses, about their subways, and it's moving more quickly. It's getting into their hands. People are making decisions with their phone, right? They're walking around and they're able to see when their bus is coming, when their subway is coming. It's working really well. I'm old enough to remember where it was guesswork. So we're really leaning in on technology. It's the right thing to do, and we're working with our teams. And and what we've seen in the past, and Shanifa, you can speak to it with your public information officers. They get in there, they work together, they understand it, and they improve, and everybody improves.
It would be good to have an idea in terms of what the data shows in terms of the failures, because I would like to understand if the BCC technology cannot reliably track buses, how will the central dispatchers effectively manage the headways, delays, and intervention without the field support that's there?
So again, it's this is something that we do on a daily basis, and it's interesting that some can just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, right? The radio system, which is very different than tracking the location of buses, very different than routing of buses, very different than seeing buses, right? Understanding what buses are bunching. So we have a complete system that does that has the visibility. We have a relatively new bus system, bus radio system, which is in place. We are modernizing how we do what we do to support the best bus service that we can provide for our customers. That's all we're about. Now, anytime you are looking to provide change that will be better for our customers, better for our employees, there is going to be resistance. But again, it is our goal to provide the best bus service that we can for our customers. And this is the means of doing it.
Thank you for that. I'm going to pause on my question and allow Councilmember Lewis to ask hers, and I have some additional questions.
Thank you, Chair. And good morning. Um, the chair briefly asked the question, but I wanted to know if I could get a more robust response. The MTA's draft plan for the Brooklyn bus redesign states a goal of right-sizing the distance between bus stops and simplifying route geometry. So I wanted to know, in the review of the redesign in Brooklyn, how many new bus stop removals or relocations have been made in the redesign in sensitive siting zones, such as senior center zones, senior housing areas? So that's the first question.
So I don't have that information for you. The plan is that within the next 6 months, we will be issuing some data on the Queens Bus Network redesign, which includes how we've done, what changes we've made, what changes have been made.
You're
from
using
point
that as
forward.
a model. You would use that as a model?
I'm sorry?
The 6-month report that you're mentioning would be utilized as a model to use, right? He's
Yeah,
shaking
sure.
his head yes, so okay, got it.
But just to be clear, it's a feedback. We're always taking feedback for customers. So a change could happen next week. A change can happen the next pick. It doesn't have to be part of the actual network redesign, but could
Right.
happen at any point that we determine that it will be better affecting our customers.
Okay. In my district, residents report bus stops being removed. This goes to your response, but if you could elaborate for my constituents who are watching. Bus stops being removed on the B82 route without advance community notification or input, especially impacting other older adults who rely on nearby buses. So I wanted to know what safeguards does the MTA have in place to ensure community feedback is meaningful and incorporated before stops are removed? An example of that, Chair, if I may continue. An example of that, News 12 covered a story about a bus stop that was removed along Kings Highway. I have the report here with me, which I'll add to the record, but no notification was provided to the community. The last community input that the community had from MTA was 2022. The bus stop was removed in 2025. So that gap in time is a long gap. So I wanted to know if you guys could talk about that a little bit. What safeguards does MTA have in place to ensure community feedback is meaningful before stops are removed?
So just quickly, the proposed plan is still in development, so everyone will get outreach on that, and we will collaborate. This is the Queens one. It's a big telephone book size document, so there's no stone unturned type situation here. So what you're discussing when it comes to the I think you're talking about the B82. There's a big project there, DOT DDC. So
Right.
that's construction related.
Right.
So I would defer to them on that. But we'll that's something.
But you
we
guys
would,
are coordinating,
we
right?
are coordinating. But I just wanted that is a temporary construction related, and it's not a permanent or a bus redesign feature. Just so your constituents and you are assured.
But it would be good if they got a response back, because I know that they didn't get a response. And I don't have much time, but I have one more question regarding the ACE program. So the ACE program along bus routes intends to improve bus speeds and reduce illegal use of busways, bus lanes. For example, constituents along the B41 corridor from Cadman Plaza to Kings Plaza report new enforcement that has unintended consequences. People unloading in front of their businesses, in front of their buildings, to bring in products, market parishioners, and weekend parishioners parking nearby bus stops, but not at the bus stops nor on the bus lanes. What mechanisms does the MTA have in coordination with DOT to place or monitor or assess and respond to such unintended equity impacts, particularly on places of worship and community institutions after the ACE deployment?
So I'll just say the ACE deployment is specifically affecting our bus routes, bus lanes, and double parked vehicles. When a person is breaking the law to be in those locations. The ACE program only enforces what the law is. And the specific locations are just that. Not only do you have the identified locations for the program itself, each of these bus stops, each of these bus lanes, the specific locations, there is a manual person that looks through the actual footage and determines that it is and verifies that that ticket is appropriately given to the individual. So I'm happy to look at the specific scenario that you have, but we have a pretty robust relationship with DOT, who administers the ticketing that are issued as a result of it, and we firmly believe that the locations have been specified are locations that are the right locations to have, and it is our position that in order to promote the best bus network that we have to, this is what we need to do. We need to remove the individuals, the instances where people are parking in locations that a bus should be operating. That's what we all should be supportive of. How do we improve bus service? And it is by getting vehicles out of the bus lanes. How do we promote an accessible bus network? It is by getting vehicles out of the bus stops that the buses should be stopping at. It is getting vehicles out of there. That's what we should be doing.
I'm sorry, Chair. So just in response to what you're sharing, because what we've shared with your team is there are parishioners, faith-based institutions that are exempt from getting tickets on Flatbush Avenue, which they share the lane with the B41. Folks have gotten up to $2,000 in tickets. So I know that you said you have somebody that monitors the behavior or instances. It has taken quite some time to get a response in regards to the multiple people who have received tickets. So I understand what you're saying. We should take a look at it. Maybe an implementation of a grace period for folks that are unloading cars or unloading family members or seniors because they've received tickets for those things. Maybe they double park to unload the car to bring someone maybe to the door, and they've received tickets along those routes. So this, I mean, we've shared this with your team, and we'll add the letter to the record that the assembly member and the senator has provided in April to the MTA, but it still hasn't been addressed. So if there is a point of contact that could look at footage and information and address this, it would be really helpful. But I do agree that there's a behavior that needs to definitely be addressed.
So I think the specific scenario of an exemption from following the law, just doesn't, to my knowledge, doesn't exist.
Even if we have those documents from NYPD and from the commissioner.
The current law is what we've been enforcing. We talk to both DOT and NYPD. The current law is what the ACE system is driven by. I totally get what you're saying. There may have been one police commissioner that I have no knowledge of who granted some type of permission, but the reality is the current system is based upon the law. There's no exemptions on the law.
It would be good to get the information about the law, if it's state law, city law, that states whatever the implementation is, what's restricted, what's not. It would be good to get that information.
Councilmember, it's a state law, and we'll look at any specific situation, but I just don't want folks to think there's some sort of exemption for bus lanes in certain locations.
Even though for years they've been exempt.
Yeah, I'm not aware. No, well, the law hasn't always been in place, so I don't know. I think what's happening here is some conflating between previous sort of exemptions that maybe locally were granted, and now a state law that's in place. We'll take a look, but what's important is that we have in place grace periods so that if somebody is parked in a bus lane, there's a period of time in order for that enforcement to take place. So the scenario that you were describing, council member, where somebody is dropping someone off, I don't know that they would be subject to a ticket. So it's something that is a longer
No,
part.
they have received the ticket,
part.
but
So
this
we'll
is
take
something
a
you
look
said you'll take a look at.
because
Right.
it's and look, just so you understand, and I think you do understand this. You know, we'll get hit on the other side, which is like, why is my bus not getting through?
Right.
And why are your bus? We were at a thing earlier this week where advocates were like, "Oh, you guys are, the bus is so slow. Shame on you." And it's like, yeah, you know what? Cars park in front of the bus, and that's a problem. The
Right.
state legislators are trying to deal with that.
Right.
The city's trying to deal with that. I know you're trying to deal with that. We're trying to deal with it in a way that doesn't that also takes into consideration folks and their needs. So we'll take a look at it. But to be clear, there's no exemption, and there is a process for that ticketing that really
No,
is
understood.
if somebody's parked
We'll
there.
take a look at
Yeah,
it
okay,
together. Understood.
Okay.
And so
Thanks.
we
All right,
follow
thank you.
up on that. Thank you, council member. Another question that I have is from a constituent regarding the Long Island Railroad Rosedale Station. And the indoor waiting area needs to be reopened for riders soon. I'm not sure what the timeline is for that, but I think there's a gap in communication with the riders in terms of how long the waiting area will be, I guess, closed due to whatever service is happening at Rosedale. And then also, there needs to be some illumination because there's poor lighting around that station. I'm not sure what the process is for the MTA to be able to add additional lighting in the area.
Chair, I'll take a look at that. I'll talk to
Uh-huh.
Rob Freed, the president of the railroad. He's doing a lot of work in station improvements, particularly things like lighting and those station houses. And as I mentioned before, because of the boom in popularity in those city stations, we know you're hearing from constituents because there's more of them using the railroad, I think. So that's all good. So let me check on that. We'll get back to you. But Rob Freed's doing a lot of work in that area.
Okay.
We
And
just wrapped up St. Albans, like I said, today.
today,
so,
I know.
so it's cool. Like,
I get an
new
invite.
elevator.
I got an
Okay.
invite
Okay,
from Chair
good.
Comrie. I shouldn't say that. but
Okay.
it-
I think Senator Comrie's out
Yeah.
there. So, but look, there's more to come. So we'll make sure that that Rob Free's on it.
Okay, and then on behalf of Councilmember Narcisse, she said the Brooklyn bus redesign has seen multiple edits. Can you explain the criteria used to determine which routes are improved, which are cut, and how you weigh community feedback in the process? And she also would like to get an update on the future of the B2 and the B76 Avenue L.
So, the process for improving our bus network is pretty much consistent. We talked about it a little earlier. How do we improve service for customers? How do we improve connectivity? How do we improve, bus speeds? How do you take in consideration the neighborhoods, the specifics? We talked a little bit about that. And the biggest piece, as we did with Queens, was involving our community and the decisions surrounding it. So taking their feedback from our customers and making sure that that's part of the solution. That's what we've done in Queens, which we believe was a success, and that's what we intend to do for Brooklyn.
Okay, and then the updates on the 2 bus routes.
Yeah, and we've heard from the council member on the B2. That's any decisions will be done. We'll work with her and others. That's on Kings Highway, so we'll.
And then the B76.
And the B76, I'll check on that as well. But as Demetrius said, this is all going to be part of the drafts that come out. And look, I think what's important is the Queens redesign. As we learn more about the benefits and where the biggest benefits are coming, I think it's going to help inform anything we do in Brooklyn, so that we're always making improvements and not creating a situation that's less attractive.
Okay. And I know Councilmember Lewis had wanted follow up on the letter from her Assemblywoman Rodney's Bishop Hermelin and Senator Kevin Parker, but she mentioned that, so I won't repeat it. But in terms of legislation, I just have 2 final four final areas. A question for each of the pieces of legislation, and then I'll be done with this segment. The first is the intro number 1345 notice for bus stop changes. We've had conversations already, like there have been some constituents that have been upset either because a bus stop has been erected in front of their home or taken away. And wanting to understand, what notice do residents and businesses receive when the bus stops are created and removed today?
So we've, when we talked about the Queens Bus Network redesign, we were very, very clear, out, again, over 300 instances where we were talking to the community, not just, globally. We literally went to locations where we met the people where they were. That was, in centers where, the community centers, the locations where employees
But are you
congregate,
knocking on the
faith-based.
door where they are going to be at? Like, so if it's coming in front of like your house, is MTA coming and knocking on your door to say we're putting a bus stop here, or sending you a letter, or?
No, we do not do that. But we do, again, work with the council and assembly members and literally all the representatives for those districts, have a ton of meetings with them, virtually and in person, to be able to talk through all of the specific changes. But again, this goes back to, how do we provide the best bus system for New Yorkers? And whether a bus stop is removed in favor of providing a faster bus system, or a bus stop in some instances which is placed because we're adding additional service or adding routes that currently don't exist, service in communities that currently don't have service, and we add bus stops in order to do that. We are doing it in providing great service to our customers. That's the goal.
No, and I can appreciate that. And I think you guys have really done a great job in the outreach and in partnership. I know with my office and my colleagues in Queens, but also still understanding that, there are sometimes moments where things fall through the cracks. So particularly I have a constituent that is a disabled senior and now has a bus stop in front of their home, and it creates some challenges, as you can imagine. I'd like to know if you feel, again, I'm a layperson, so if you feel that this bill can be implemented with existing resources, and why or why not?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just look. Just to go back to the Queens Bus redesign, that was robust work. Folks were out there for years, making sure everyone understood
You guys
what was being considered, what should be considered, what changes should be made to the draft, and even up to the very end, we had teams out there on the street at bus stops that were pre-existing, making sure that people understood that in a period of time those bus stops might be changed, and we had people at new bus stops. I think there was something like less than a couple of dozen new stops. So that communication was made with folks. We met them where they were, and the feedback we've been getting has been pretty good. I understand there's going to be some people that have. It sounds like some people have reached out to you with a different narrative, but this is a huge borough. And this is a huge bus system. And considering all the changes that took place, I just want to compliment the team. They really did the work
the team
that was needed.
definitely phenomenal. I won't take that from them.
Yeah.
I just wanted to understand
Yeah.
from your perspective, like I'll ask DOT also their thoughts on that later on, but I wanted to get from the MTA's perspective if, you think this is something that could be implemented. It would obviously require coordination with the department as well.
Yeah, I think it requires coordination. Just an example, the B82, that is the council member was talking about. That was a change by city DOT. I believe it was communicated, but we always want to make sure folks, and that is a permanent change. I was corrected. We always want to make sure everybody knows what's happening. Just to kind of put it in context, we're swapping, the president of New York City Transit is responsible for this, implementing, but we're swapping the F&M to improve service. So we're out there constantly, and these are, 2 train lines coming in from Queens. So what's different now, though, is we can communicate with our riders more easily. We're texting them. We are updating their app. we're letting them know these changes. We have a lot more ways. So I think, any legislation, we're always going to be careful of like adding a new layer. And we really have to wonder, like, is it actually improving it? Is there a way that we can just tweak what we're already doing? Layering things, sometimes it doesn't hit people. We're always looking for new ways to reach our customers. I think we're doing a good job, but we'll always look for new ways. Mandating it is always, it can become outdated pretty quickly. You put something on paper, it's like next thing you know, you're taking an ad in the Queens Chronicle about a bus stop change that happened 3 weeks earlier. So we're really trying to be modern and get to people, meet them where they are, and I think we're doing a good job. And the lady over there, Shanifa, is responsible for a lot of it. So kudos to her.
So I'm going to ask my last 3 questions, and then we'll be done with the section. Next is about Red Zone number 58, the subway rush hour service. If bus redesigns funnel more riders to terminal subway stations, what is your plan to prevent overcrowding during rush hours? And would the MTA consider pilot programs for increased service at select stations on specific days?
When we looked at the Queens Bus Network redesign, one of the things that we looked at not only is adding the bus service to be able to get to the subway, but whether or not that subway has capacity to accept the riders. And we will continue to do that. If we do that on a bi-yearly basis for subways, 4 times for buses a year, 2
We need
times
more A-train service
based upon ridership.
on the record.
Based upon ridership. We review what the actual need is, and so we'll continue to do so. Our goal is to be able to provide service to customers. So as we've shown over the last year or so, we've increased service where we needed it. We adjusted service when we saw that the patterns were going toward the end of the rush hour periods. We added service towards the off-peak areas in order to support it. When we realized that there was additional service coming on the weekends, we added additional service on the weekends. So we've shown our ability to be able to supply customers with the service that we need. 16 routes, 16 instances where we provided additional service. So we're prepared to provide the service to customers.
And I'm glad to hear that. And I know I did a recent transportation infrastructure tour in Councilmember Shahana Hanif's district, and she has like a lot of development coming. I think it's along the Columbia waterfront. And so we did a joint letter to the MTA requesting, looking at how we can increase their access to transportation, similarly to Edgemere and Rockaway, which we were able to do during the outage of the A train with the stop in Edgemere, which did not have a stop before for the express bus route, for example. Just looking at, and I do believe that when we look at development and housing, there needs to be a close partnership with the MTA to make sure that as we're bringing new communities into places that they did not exist, that we're being visionary, okay? Like, what access to transportation are we going to have as well? So I haven't seen a response to that letter yet, but I'm hopeful it'll be a positive response.
Chair, I'll look into that response. And just to add on, we're hitting new records coming out of COVID, 4.6 million on the subways, but we're still below what we were moving in 2019. So there's capacity. But we're always looking for opportunities to add service where it's appropriate, and we'll continue to do so. And the same with buses, like changes of bus stops. We change bus stops every year for things like changes in commuting patterns or businesses, and so that and we will always communicate with you and the public on any change like that. And what I mentioned earlier, I've just been corrected. The 20 new stops, when I said that was in the residential territory areas that you're talking about, where somebody walks outside their door and they might see a bus stop. So there weren't a ton of those in the bus redesign. But of course, we will continue to communicate.
Thank you for that. And particularly, I'm more concerned about, because we did get a couple of them, and I know I communicated them. The one I'm particularly concerned about is the senior that is disabled. So if we shift that a little bit, that'd be great, because we don't want to impede on her access to whatever services that they need to get in and out of the house. Reso 61, lead in transit structures. This is another one that came as a result of one of the transportation infrastructure tours that I did. This one was in Councilmember Sandy Nurse's district, where their outdoor train had some concerns of lead. And so I wanted to know what recent testing has been done to measure lead levels at elevated trains and what role, and then I'll ask a follow-up question to DOT later for that. But I know initially in response to the letter that we did, I believe MTA had went to test that particular site. But I just want to know what recent testing has been done to measure the levels on the elevated trains.
So we have you know this, we have so many elevated trains, and those are trains that were painted decades ago, sometimes the last time they were painted. So any changes, we're very aware of making sure there's no issues that we have to deal with. So what we do is we wrap those projects, right, so it's not public facing, and we go in there and follow all the regulatory guidelines in terms of removal of old paint and the like. I will check as far as if there are any tests available that I can share with you. But as the president said, we put safety first, and that's not just in our running of the train system and the bus system, but it's in how we do our construction, and we have a lot of people out there doing that work who we make sure are protected, and the neighborhoods they're working in are protected.
Thank you. And my last question is around congestion pricing, the study, Reso 735. How has congestion pricing affected bus speeds and ridership? And what type of analysis does the MTA and the DOT do to monitor the effect of congestion pricing?
So we're regularly reporting out. We have a dashboard online. We've really made strides with transparency on all our issues, and we're very proud of that. We sort of try to talk about it a lot because it's not always easy internally or externally to sort of open the curtains, and this is how so people dive in, and we're seeing a lot of reporters actually. They're doing their work, they're diving in, looking at the numbers, reporting out on those numbers, and telling the story of congestion pricing. So we'll have more of that coming out, particularly with the 1 year anniversary coming up, and you'll see reports on bus speeds and all the benefits that are coming from congestion pricing. We continue to see double-digit reductions in traffic. We see improvements in other areas as well in terms of noise and safety. So we'll be reporting out on that, but that data is available online as well. And but we'll work with our partners at the city to make sure that is at the into the conclusion of the 1 year, you'll have a big report out on that.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
Sorry, I just wanted to add one thing to John. I mean, so just on the data specifically, vehicle entries are down 12% year over year, with 87,000 fewer vehicles entering daily. Where you really see the success is in going across the major crossings, the bridges. Holland Tunnel, 36% faster. Williamsburg Bridge, 23% faster. Queensboro Bridge, 21% faster. Hugh L. Carey Tunnel, 16% faster. And where are all these folks going? Subway ridership is up 9%. Bus ridership is up 13%. Success story.
Thank you. I mean, I feel like my lived experience may be a little bit different because New Carey Tunnel, I still feel a lot of congestion there, but but I have noticed it in some places. But there are some areas that I still see the congestion. So I'd like to thank the MTA for your participation today and for your constant partnership and communication. I really appreciate you all, and we'll next call up the Department of Transportation.
Thank you. Our next panel will be from the Department of Transportation, Denise Mendez, Assistant Commissioner for Transit Development, and Rick Rodriguez, Assistant Commissioner of Intergovernmental and Community Affairs. Okay. I will now administer the oaths. Please raise your right hands. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before the committee and to respond honestly to council member questions? Thank you. You may begin when ready.
Oh, the red light, okay. Can you hear me? Perfect. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Chair and members online and those in the audience as well. Members of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. I am Denise Mendez, Assistant Commissioner for Transit Development here at New York City DOT. With me today is Rick Rodriguez, Assistant Commissioner for Intergovernmental and Community Affairs. Thank you so much for the opportunity to testify on behalf of Mayor Adams and Commissioner Rodriguez on the administration's work on the New York City bus system. We know that buses are a lifeline for New Yorkers in making New York City possible. DOT continues to work collaboratively and creatively with the MTA to improve the bus rider experience citywide, ensuring that New Yorkers have bus service that they can depend on at any time of the day. We achieved historic street safety and accessibility improvements under the administration, including record-breaking measures to protect cyclists, safeguard pedestrians, enhance intersections, and make it easier for people with low vision to use our streets, improve bus service, and augment bus stop amenities to ensure that the customer experience is improved and enhanced. Our recently completed or in construction transformative bus priority and accessibility projects will improve commutes for nearly 400,000 daily bus riders along 5.2 miles of new and 4.6 miles of improved bus lanes. This builds on our success in 2024, having delivered close to 18 miles of new, upgraded, or newly protected bus lane miles, the highest annual mileage for the protected bus lanes ever. We continue to improve buses citywide through our Better Buses Action Plan and New York City Streets Plan, focusing on bus priority corridors. In September, we announced a plan to begin installing new bus lanes on Flatbush Avenue this fall, which includes advancing a plan for center-running bus lanes between Livingston Street and Grand Army Plaza. Thanks to our previous investments, like the $1.5 million investment from the fiscal year 26 adopted budget, we can make transformative upgrades to the pedestrian and transit rider experience and the broader public realm for nearly 30,000 bus riders. A most recently completed project on Hillside Avenue in Queens includes nearly 8 miles of new and improved bus lanes, one of the longest bus priority corridors and projects in history, delivering faster and more reliable bus service for over 215,000 daily riders on 22 bus routes along the corridor. On recent projects, other recent projects include the expansion of bus-mounted cameras enforcement on 96th Street in Manhattan, 2nd Avenue, as well as Allen, Pike, and Madison Streets, as well as construction on 1.4 miles of bus lanes on 3rd Avenue between 96th Street and 128th Street in Manhattan. Now, we're not finished yet. We're in the home stretch of our building season, and we're hoping to provide updates, final updates in February for our streets plan update. Making buses faster and more accessible is a top priority. We continue this work through adding transit signal priority to better optimize how buses move, speed up the buses, expand bus lane camera enforcement, and support the MTA's network redesign efforts. We do this through their borough-based priority plans as well. And thus far in 2025, we have studied transit signal priority across 10 bus routes throughout the city. Last year, DOT also upgraded dozens of bus stops to be physically accessible and expanded our accessible pedestrian signals, all part of our 5-year accessibility plan. We enthusiastically say that there's certainly much more things to come for New York City bus riders, and we're excited to continue working to improve the daily lives of everyone. Turning to the legislation before the council today, first, Intro 339, sponsored by Councilmember Nycc. This bill would ensure that drivers are not receiving multiple summonses for the same violation of driving in a designated bus lane. DOT already ensures that drivers do not receive multiple tickets for the same violation through our back office process. We look forward to working with the council and support this bill. Next, on to Intro 647, sponsored by Councilmember Riley. This bill would require DOT to post signs on each block of any street, subject to bus lane restrictions. The bill also proposes publishing the days and hours during which bus lane restrictions are in effect for all streets that are subject to any such restrictions, also on our website. And so in accordance with the MUTCD, the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, the guidance, we already install at least one bus lane sign per block, subject to bus lane restrictions. Additionally, we already publish the bus lane restrictions data set on DOT's data feeds webpage, as well as New York City Open Data. We support the goals of the bill and look forward to working with the council. Finally, Intro 1345, sponsored by Chair Brooks Powers. This bill would require DOT to provide notice as practicable to owners of homes and businesses when new bus stops are designated to be placed within 50 feet of such homes and businesses, or when existing bus stops within 50 feet of such homes and businesses are designated to be removed. DOT conducts substantial outreach to businesses and communities wherever the agency implements changes to the local transportation network. Importantly, this outreach is an iterative process, working with elected officials, community boards, various stakeholders to inform communities of our planning and design of projects from the inception all the way through implementation. On average, DOT installs, removes, and maintains nearly 4,000 bus stops, no standing signs, as well as up to 12,000 bus stop route destination panels each year. By way of illustration, nearly 12,000 bus stop panels were installed, removed, and maintained as part of the Queens Network redesign. Although DOT supports the intent of this bill to increase awareness of any changes to bus stops, the legislation presents challenges that are beyond our limited staff capacity and would delay implementation of critical safety, accessibility, and service reliability improvements. We enthusiastically commit to working with you to identify strategic and more tailored outreach plans in relation to bus stops. And so in closing, I would like to thank the council for the opportunity to testify before you today. We'd now be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that. I will start with the bus redesign. What is DOT's role in the MTA's bus redesign process?
Thank you for the question, Chair. So as I said in my testimony, we have a very close sort of partnership to really be able to deliver this service to New Yorkers. We support MTA's borough-based network redesigns through a number of ways. We give special consideration to how our bus priority projects, such as bus lanes, can be complementary to MTA service plans and adjustments. And as an example, our recent bus lane project on Hillside Avenue coincided with the implementation of the rush routes on Hillside, and the buses have been able to benefit from that bus priority improvement. Queens riders, again, will really help to benefit from the reliability of the bus priority improvements and really building on those service enhancements that were made early in the summer. Secondly, we make adjustments to the street network where possible to accommodate new routing changes, and that can also help to improve the operations for safe movement of buses as well.
And does DOT also like conduct community outreach? I know MTA does, but in terms of the function of the department as it pertains to the redesign, do you all do any degree of community outreach too?
We work closely with the MTA for that process, and so we may join in their outreach and engagement activities. We've also participated in the customer ambassador outreach that happened earlier this summer to ensure that New Yorkers were aware of those changes. But we do not sort of conduct sort of outreach separate from the MTA as it relates to the redesign.
Thank you. Streets plan implementation. What has DOT failed? Why, has DOT failed to meet the legal mandates of Local Law 195, also known as the Streets Plan, with respect to installation of protected bus lanes? And how many miles of protected bus lanes has DOT installed in calendar 2025 year to date?
Just taking the first part of the question, I think one of the things that we've certainly learned in this administration is, to the point of your earlier line of questioning about community engagement, there are a lot of stakeholders that have a lot to say about how they want to redesign those streets. And we have often found that we have benefited from taking more time for those projects, understanding there is this balance of this very clear and sincere requirement that we have to meet.
And so, again, we're in the home stretch of the building season, and we're delighted to provide an update in our streets plan
Do you
update
think you're
hearing
gonna
in
make the
February.
Do you think you're gonna make the 30-mile goal for this year?
We're still working through sort of our projects, and we'll have a better sense for the February update.
How many is done to date so far?
We've done approximately, and as I said in testimony, about 5.2 new miles and 4.6 upgraded miles.
So it's not likely to get 30 by the end of the season then.
I wouldn't characterize it as likely in the way that you're suggesting we might not meet it. We may not. The point is that this is the home stretch. Our main focus is completing what we have in front of us, and we'll give a fulsome update in February about how we did, and we'll be held to account.
Enforcement. How many miles of bus lanes currently have the automated camera enforcement, and how many still rely on in-person NYPD enforcement?
And so we have about approximately 155 bus lane miles that are currently covered by the ACE camera enforcement.
And how does DOT decide where to expand automated enforcement cameras? Are decisions based solely on ridership volume or also on equity concerns in transit deserts?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? How do we decide on where? Yes. And so we have both stationary as well as the cameras that are mounted on buses. They do different things, but they are complementary to each other. We work to locate the bus enforcement cameras where we install new bus lanes, resources permitting. We also communicate directly with NYPD to have more regular touch points and ensure we can recommend enforcement locations where there aren't cameras, or if there are more particular acute issues that are more of an enforcement concern for us. The MTA prioritizes bus routes for bus-mounted cameras based on high frequency and high ridership routes.
Thank you. McDonald Avenue redesign proposal. I know that DOT has proposed a project to redesign McDonald Avenue between 20th Street and Fort Hamilton Parkway, which would involve removing one lane of traffic in each direction to install a two-way protected bike lane. McDonald Avenue is a major truck corridor and a busy MTA bus route. There are also multiple schools that would be directly impacted by the project. What work has DOT done in the community with respect to this proposed project, and what additional efforts is DOT planning to take to get community feedback regarding this proposal?
On the specific McDonald, I actually will need to come back to you on that, but I mean, we do this.
I hear you, I'm sorry.
On the specifics for McDonald, I'd have to come back to you because I'm not familiar with those outreach strategies, but I think, again, we would be in partnership with the MTA on communicating changes on the route.
And how does DOT view this proposal in light of Local Law 171 of 2023, which requires DOT to redesign the truck routes in a way that reduces congestion and enhances safety? Did DOT consult with trucking stakeholders when developing this proposal?
Once again, I'd have to consult with our team back at DOT because I'm unfamiliar with the specifics on McDonald Avenue.
Okay, so can DOT get back to me by Monday on this?
Sure.
Thank you. Just in terms of the legislation, intro 1345, notice with bus stop changes. I saw you responded to that in your testimony. But just for clarity, does DOT already have staff responsible for sending out notices about other works in progress?
Yes, it covers existing needs. There are sort of additional stipulations that are based in this bill that will require additional capacity.
In terms of the Reso 735 congestion pricing study, what role would DOT play in data collection and publishing results for such a longitudinal study?
On congestion pricing, we just don't have the right people here today. I'm happy to make arrangements for a meeting with our congestion pricing team. I know we've worked very closely for a very long time with the MTA on monitoring and establishing that program. So I think we would have a lot that we would be happy to share with you.
Is there a reason no one's here to be able to answer about congestion pricing? Only because the staff had notified the department that we would be asking a question on that. So when you say that the appropriate people are not here.
I'm unaware of the congestion pricing being flagged specifically. I know we've tried to be prepared for again, that partnership, and we are prepared to answer those things. I'm unaware of a congestion pricing question.
Okay. Those are all the questions that I have. This panel is free to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I now open the hearing for public testimony. I remind members of the public that this is a government proceeding and the decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Furthermore, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant at Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant at Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on today's hearing topics: oversight, New York City's bus system, network operations, equity and redesign. Intro number 339, a local law to amend the administrative code of the City of New York in relation to prohibiting the issuance of multiple bus lane violation tickets for the same infraction within a 1-hour period. Intro number 647, a local law to amend the administrative code of the City of New York in relation to bus lane restrictions. Intro number 1345, a local law to amend the administrative code of the City of New York in relation to providing notice to a notice to home and business owners regarding the creation of removal of bus stops. Reso number 58, resolution calling on MTA to adjust schedules for distant subway terminal lines to include more peak direction rush hour trains for commuters to travel to central economic hubs. Resolution number 61, resolution calling upon the MTA to remediate any transportation structure, primarily elevated train lines with extremely high levels of lead. Resolution 252, resolution calling on the New York State Legislature to pass and the New York State Governor to sign legislation which would create unlimited transfers within a 2-hour period of paying the MTA subway or bus fare for pay-per-ride users. Resolution number 498, resolution calling on MTA to create a program that provides New York City's first responder agencies with real-time GPS data for all MTA buses. Resolution number 735, resolution calling on the MTA to conduct longitudinal studies on the environmental, economic, and social impacts of congestion pricing throughout New York City. Resolution number 773, resolution calling on New York State Legislature to pass and the Governor to sign legislation that would require the MTA to provide free express bus fare to New York City students who take express buses to and from school. Resolution number 964, resolution calling on the New York State Legislature to pass and the New York State Governor to sign Senate Bill 3887A and the Assembly Accompanied Bill 7316A, requiring that any individual who is eligible for the Fair Fares New York City program and any person whose income is 200% of the federal poverty level receive a 50% discount on trips using the Long Island Railroad, paratransit services, New York City Transit, subways or buses, and the Metro North Railroad. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant at Arms. You may also email written testimony to testimony@council.nyc.gov within 72 hours of this hearing. Audio and video recordings will not be accepted. We will now call the first panel. That panel will include Jean Ryan, Philip Valence, Jose De Jesus, Charlton D'Souza, the first name starts with a B, the last name is Fritsch, and Caitlin Villatoro. You may begin when you're ready, and please adhere to the 2-minute limit.
Hello, I'm Jean Ryan, President of Disabled in Action of Metropolitan New York, DIA for short. 3 big bus issues concern us in DIA: the inaccessibility of express buses, the failure of all NYCT buses to pull up to the curb for passengers, and the drive to eliminate bus stops. Express bus inaccessibility. Express buses go from the outer boroughs to and from Manhattan. All have lifts for people with mobility disabilities, but the drivers are poorly trained, especially on buses on weekends, holidays, in the evenings, and on weekends when untrained fill-in drivers often work. As I have testified before, it leads to boarding times up to an hour or being left at the curb or the FDNY getting us off the buses. Of course, that's not good. All drivers should be regularly trained or they should not be driving express buses. Failure of buses to pull up to the curb. There is an epidemic of bus drivers who do not pull their buses up to the curb, and that makes it difficult to impossible for many riders to get on or off the bus. There's little supervision or enforcement of the rule to pull up to the curb, and it's not safe for the bus to be out in the street. Sometimes e-bikers drive in that space when someone is trying to exit or get on the bus. Removal of bus stops. On 14th Street, many bus stops were removed, and people continue to suggest that as a solution to slow buses to speed them up, but studies removed the bus stops, but studies showed that it hardly had any effect on bus speeds. It does, however, have a huge impact on the inability of ambulatory people with disabilities to take the bus at all. What really impacted was removing the traffic. We want better bus driver training and enforcement of rules, as well as keeping the bus stops we already have and not reducing them. Thank you. I do have one more thing about the DOT, but my time is up.
Okay.
Could I just
But
say
did
it?
you
Two
submit
sentences.
the longer one?
What?
I know you normally submit a longer testimony. Did you submit a
No,
longer
that's
one?
the same thing that I'm saying today, but when I heard them talking about drivers being ticketed for their, I thought that that Access Ride had an exemption in the bus stops to drop off and pick up people, because where are we supposed to go? You know, I mean, we got to get out in some kind of way.
Right.
And DOT had said for years that they wouldn't be, Access Ride wouldn't be ticketed. But now, especially broker drivers who aren't driving the big blue and yellow or blue and white vans
Yeah.
are being ticketed for dropping us off and picking us up.
That's a good flag. Thank you for that, Jean.
And they say that the individual people who look at the tickets, you know, from the cameras, they say that they're not ticketing
But
the
they are.
drivers, but they are.
Okay. We'll look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Fritsch, Associate Director of the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA, PCAC. Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers, for the opportunity to testify today. Sorry about my penmanship. On Monday, we stood with Nycc Strap Hangers campaign to announce the winners of the 18th Annual Pokey and Schleppy Awards, given to the city's slowest, the M42, and least reliable, the Q8, high ridership bus routes. We do this to highlight the need for more investment from not only the MTA, but also NYC DOT. We also, for the first time this year, offered a new Mazel Award for the most improved service to the M79 and the SIM32 Express bus, which jumped by more than 2 miles per hour from 2024 to 2025. Neither of these improvements would have been possible without congestion pricing. In short, riders are seeing some progress, but we can only continue to do so with a city, and especially a mayor, willing to properly enforce busways and their priority, invest in signal priority technology, and we sincerely hope finally follow the NYC Streets Plan. We also would be deeply appreciative of a mayoral administration that promises to keep affordability a priority and partner with this council to expand the Fair Fares program. Currently, Fair Fares only enrolls about a third of eligible New Yorkers, which is dismal. We would love to see automatic enrollment in the future so that low-income residents who are already getting other benefits and clearly qualify for Fair Fares don't have to jump through additional hoops. Additionally, expanding Fair Fares over 200% of the federal poverty level would finally expand eligibility to minimum wage New Yorkers who are incredibly likely to be transit dependent. Coupled with other improvements like fully free fares for the lowest income New Yorkers and expansion to the commuter railroads and express buses in New York City, could take this program from a good idea to one that transforms how people move around the city. As a council, you have been steadfast in your commitment to riders. Let's get on board with making bus service and fare fares even better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Caitlin Villatoro, and I'm the New York City Policy Fellow at the New York League of Conservation Voters. Thank you, Chair Brooks Powers and members of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure for the opportunity to testify. Public transportation is the cornerstone of an accessible city. As such, New Yorkers deserve to have their buses be efficient, sustainable, and most importantly, reliable. I'm here today to highlight some areas for growth in our bus systems and to underscore the need for support from City Hall. This year, the NYC Comptroller's Office reported that 1/3 of buses failed to show up on time and failed to reach stops at their scheduled time 30% of the time. This is unacceptable from a major method of public transport. It's also a working class issue. Those who feel these effects the hardest are marginalized communities living in outer borough neighborhoods without subway access. Moreover, we strongly encourage getting back on track with the milestones of the NYC Streets Plan and restarting long-stalled projects such as the Fordham Road Busway and Flatbush Ave Bus Lane. We also stand with advocates urging the administration to expand fair fares to those living at 200% of the federal poverty level. The Fair's Fair program needs greater investment to expand eligibility and fund outreach to ensure those who qualify use the program. Beyond this, we need transformational change and urge the next administration to prioritize bus rapid transit, which provides frequent, high-capacity bus service. BRT quality compares to rail and subway systems at a fraction of the cost. Finally, we support Resolution 6-1, which calls upon the MTA to remediate transportation structures with extremely high levels of lead. As a member of the NYC Coalition to End Lead Poisoning, we join in calling for the elimination of lead poisoning in our city. New Yorkers should not be concerned for their health when they step on public transit. As we approach a new mayoral administration and new city council session, it's imperative we invest more in our city's bus system. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. So my name is Charlton D'Souza. I'm the president and founder of Passengers United. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. So this morning, we were all in this room, and we had to listen to the MTA yet again mislead everyone in this room. I can tell you, the first day of the Queens bus redesign, our organization did all the work on the Queens bus redesign. We had meetings. We were the only nonprofit. On the day off and the week off, we were out there. I had things thrown at me. We were trying to help people. There were no MTA personnel to be found. And I live in Belmont Park by the Q82 route. The Queens bus redesign is not a redesign. It's glorified budget cuts on steroids. And for going to work in the morning, we literally have to wait 25 to 30 minutes for a bus to come. In the evening, we're waiting 40 minutes for a bus to come, only for 2 buses. So the problem is you have bus bunching. When you call the bus command center, the superintendents, they are short-staffed. So if there's an accident, you could be waiting 50 minutes to an hour for a person to get to you. That's that. The bus operators are being assaulted. They're being spit at. They're being cursed at because everyone's angry with them. And then the situation is many buses are being canceled with the bus redesign, which is making the situation far more worse. So if you're asking someone to walk now 9 blocks to a bus stop, only for them to have to wait 30 minutes, you think not there's going to be frustration when they get on that bus? I have seen so many things happen. And like I said, we were volunteers. We had things thrown at us. People thought we worked for the MTA. And I had to explain we didn't work for the MTA. But I can tell you the community affairs and the way our nonprofit was treated by the MTA is disgusting. Right now we have 12 plaintiffs. We're getting ready to sue the MTA. And one thing that you didn't talk about was bus shelters and bus pads, which cost the city a lot of money, which have been eliminated. And so we're doing a comprehensive study of every bus stop in Queens. My colleague Jack Nirenberg and I, we got the DOT data, and we would love to have a meeting with you because there were some things that all of us wanted to bring up that we couldn't bring up because the MTA left. That's not fair to us as a nonprofit.
So in the future, what I suggest that you do is if you have questions that you'd like on the record from the agency, send them in advance to me.
Okay.
And we'll do our best to be able to ask them of the agency. And in terms of scheduling a meeting, you could connect with Julian afterwards from my office, and we can find some time. Okay.
Right. And the MT told us, they had asked us to do a report on the Queens bus redesign because of all the concerns coming in. So we've gotten so many phone calls and so many concerns. They put a bus stop in front of a McDonald's drive-through. How do you do that? And that's the thing. Like so many nice bus stops that the city paid for that cost thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
They eliminated those bus stops and they're putting bus stops in driveways. It make sense.
Exactly.
It's a mess.
So we'll follow up. Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, Chair Brooks Powers. My name is Jose de Jesus. I'm the General Recording Secretary for Local 106 and the TW New York State Conference Chair covering the 70,000 members under the TWU New York State. I'm here today to testify about the recent decision to remove bus dispatchers from the street and reassign them to the bus command center, and to explain how this change impacts both transit workers and the riding public. As bus dispatchers, we are the eyes and ears of the transit system. We are out there in real time, monitoring services, responding to emergencies, and helping riders when things don't go as planned. When a bus breaks down, when there's an accident, or when en route gets delayed because of traffic or weather, it's the dispatcher on the street who steps in to keep service moving and to keep people safe. By removing 26 dispatchers from the field and moving them into the command center, the MTA is creating a dangerous gap in service oversight. No one sitting behind a computer screen can replace the firsthand judgment of a dispatcher who knows the streets, the routes, and the communities we serve. To make matters worse, the new 294 million radio system that the Transit Authority uses has been a total disaster. We experience drop calls, system outages, and overlapping transmissions that cut one communication off as another begins. In emergencies, those second matter. When a bus operator can get through or a dispatcher can't be heard, that's not just an inconvenience, it's a serious safety risk. The new radio system is the dirty secret the Transit Authority doesn't want anyone talking about, but it's failing and it's dangerous. Without dispatchers on the street to provide direct coordination, riders, workers are left more vulnerable than ever. This change doesn't just hurt workers, it hurts riders. Without dispatchers on the street, buses run later, routes become less reliable, and passengers may be left waiting in unsafe conditions. Many of our riders are seniors, students, and essential workers who depend on us every day. We're not here just to resist change. We're here to make sure any change strengthens the system rather than weakens it. We want to work with the MTA to improve service, but that starts with respecting the work that dispatchers do every day and recognizing the critical role we play in keeping New York moving safely. Thank you.
Thank you. Good speech. This panel is dismissed. Thank you.
Okay.
You know, the dispatchers also get us on buses because so many times the drivers don't know how. But if I'm in a stop where there's a dispatcher, they'll get me right on the bus.
Good to know. Thank you, Jean. If we have inadvertently missed anyone that has registered to testify today and has yet to have been called, please use the Zoom hand function if you are testifying remotely, and you will be called in that order that your hand has been raised. If you are testifying in person, please come to the dais. With that being said, I'd like to thank everyone who's took part in today's hearing on the state of our bus network, recognizing that how critical this form of transportation is to communities, particularly in the outer boroughs and those that are under-resourced in terms of transit options. And I look forward to continuing this conversation. And with that, this meeting is now adjourned.